Alrighty, so today we're going to look back at yesterday MLS action. And originally there was supposed to be six games that happened yesterday, but unfortunately one of the games got postponed it between the Houston Dynamo versus LAFC because there was a hurricane that happened in the Houston area. So obviously you cannot play in a hurricane, and I'm pretty sure LAFC fans will go absolutely nuts. The fact that they're basically seems like they're always forced to play in extreme weather. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're still bitter after what happened earlier in the year when they play against RSL in basically a blizzard, or as I like to call it, a snow classical type of game. Well, that being said, let us actually get into the first game. Well, there were definitely some surprises, and I would say that for those teams that are doing very bad right now this season, especially in the Western Conference, it was a good week for them because one of those teams that is near the bottom of the standing is Sporting KC, and they got a win in this one against Dallas. Now, early on, the first shot of the game did see Farrington miss wide, though I will also say that Sporting KC almost repeat old habits again in this game where they had a multi-goal lead and proceed to basically blow that multi-goal lead once again at home. But how did they get that multi-goal lead? Well, it started with William Gata scoring in the 12th minute from Rodriguez to give Sporting KC a 1-0 lead, and then he scored again just 11 minutes later, this time from Vargas and Libo to give Sporting KC a 2-0 lead, and it could have been 3-0 if the post did not deny Showery from long range. Yeah, safe to say that Daniel Showery is once again snake bitten this season. I mean, I think he only scored like one goal so far this season for Sporting KC. Though you can say the same thing about the entire front three of this SKC front three, which has just been pretty miserable this season. But there was no doubt that it was all Sporting KC early in this game. Dallas clearly just have not shown up whatsoever in this game. Though that being said, in the 30th minute, they would get a goal back in this one as Milia unfortunately scored an own goal here. That of course happened came off of a turnover from Sporting. So yeah, that's something you definitely do not want to do. And despite the fact that Dallas have not had a shot up to this point, they gotta go. So that's kind of one of the rare situations where you basically can get on the score sheet without scoring a single goal because the opposition decided to do that. I mean, that's a good thing to do. But in the 35th minute, we did see the first shot for Dallas as Tomasi would puts it wide from close range. Oh, did I say that Dallas didn't have a shot in this game? Technically, they did. They had it in the third minute, but up to this one, they only had like one shot in this game, and that was only like the second shot of the game for Tomasi. Polito then puts it wide from close before Pierre would puts it wide off of a deflection, as Sporting was pressing late to try to restore that two-goal lead before halftime. Magada tried to do so. In fact, he was trying to go for his hat trick, but he hits one right to pause in the third minute stoppage time, and we do head to halftime with Sporting KC holding on to a 2-1 lead. In the second half, Paz would deny Vargas shot off of a deflection before on the other end, Melia would deny Musa from long range. Of course, Pedro Musa got subbed on in this game. They also obviously didn't play a strong squad in this one, and they were thinking that, they can basically play a weaker squad against one of the worst team in the league, and that would be okay. And it's understandable considering you need to rotate your squad, consider some of these teams have played a lot of games lately because of the 4th of July holiday. But yeah, this is also where we're seeing that when you basically decided to put a weaker squad, that doesn't mean that it will always work out well, even against some of the worst team in the league. But it did work out at least when Musa came into this game because he scored in the 64th minute as he scored from Farrington and Ariola to tie the game up at 2 apiece. And you just kind of had a feeling that it's here we go again if you're a Sporting KC fan. They've seen this script so many times this season, and they're basically saying, let's just skip to the chase and basically skip to the part where they blow another 2-0 lead. Though in the 70th minute, Paz would absolutely rob Agata and his hat trick in the 70th minute before a FIFA would head it wide from close range, and somehow in some way, Sporting decided to press back and looking to try to get a lead, and that's something that maybe kind of confused some Sporting KC fan because that's something they don't usually do, which is show some pushback after blowing a multi-goal lead again. Ariola would then hit one right to Milia, and then in the 82nd minute, and this is definitely something that they have not seen this season when they blow a multi-goal lead, they take the lead back. It's Memo Rodriguez. He scored here to make it 3-2 in this one, and he hits this one absolutely on the rope, or on a rope from a volley from close range. I mean, that was just a laser shot there from Memo Rodriguez. And yeah, that gives the lead back for Sporting KC. Paz would then deny Agata as he was in on goal there. You can clearly see that William Agata really wanted a hat trick in that one. But I also thought that will that moment come back to Hunt Sporting because again, yes, they show some resiliency of retaking the lead after blowing another multi-goal lead at home. But yeah, is there going to be a situation where they're going to give up another late goal as they have done a lot this season? Well, the good news they didn't. But the bad news is they did have a player sent off, as Zoran Bassan would get a straight red here. And yeah, this is a classic example of when you decide to shit house on an opponent, and not only the fact that it doesn't work, you pay the ultimate karma price to do so. Because here, Ariola trying to make the throw in, but Son obviously decided to stand in the way, trying to shithouse Ariola. I mean, you're not going to shithouse Paul Ariola. This is a guy that has played in multiple CONCACAF games with the U.S. and also, not to mention, he started his career with Cholos, and he probably know the art of shithousing in Liga MX. So that's obviously not gonna work. You if you're gonna shithouse someone, you pick the wrong player to do so, Zorhan Basan. So Ariola was pretty much getting blocked, almost like Zorhan Basan almost looked like a guy that forgot that this is not basketball where you can basically just jump up and down, wave your arms like what we see with players trying to block an inbound bound pass. So Ariola decided that, you know what, I'm just gonna throw the ball right into your head, and Bassan kind of took the bait because of it, because he got absolutely fuming. He was absolutely fuming about that, and he decided to put a shoulder barge on Ariola. Yeah, that is always going to be a red card. That is violent conduct in every way, and yeah, again, just that it was absolutely unnecessary. But at the same time, I feel like that's just peak MLS and peak kind of MLS shithousery that we seen before. And again, if you haven't seen that play, I'm pretty sure everybody is gonna see that, and they're gonna repeat that a couple of times, because if you want to know what the peak shithousery and the a clip of a textbook example of the dark arts being practiced, that is an example of one. But yeah, in the end, as I said, Sporting KC, they hold on to get a win in this one. Shots in this one, 18 shots for the 12 that Dallas had, 5 shots on goal for the 6 that Sporting KC had, 8 shots off target for the 3 that Dallas had. Both teams had 3 shots out of the block, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that Dallas has in this game. And again, this is a game that just kind of reminds you that just because you decide to face against a weaker team, yeah, that doesn't mean you can just put a weak squad and think that's enough to get all 3 points. You need to give respect to your opponent, and still want to play hard against your opponent. And I'm not saying that Dallas didn't give respect to Sporting KC, but they thought that they can just walk into Children Mercy Park and get all 3 points despite not playing a strong squad. And I don't think that's a bad thing to think, consider Sporting KC has just been so bad this season, even at home as well, but it didn't quite work out so well for Dallas coming out of this game. With that being said, moving on in the next match is the Quakes. So honestly, I almost forgot how to react whenever the Quakes get a win. It's been so long since the Quakes have got a win that I almost forgot what it feels like after seeing them scoring more goals than their opponent, and hearing the victory song at PayPal Park by ACDC. But that's exactly what happened in this game. In fact, I think it's been like almost 2 months since they have last won again. I think the last time they won was on the road against the Colorado Rapids, and that was a very lucky game too, because they were holding on for dear life. This game, though, I wouldn't say this game was kind of holding on for dear life until the very end, and I also wouldn't say that this was a great performance whatsoever. But the good news is they're facing against the Chicago Fire, and I gotta say, this feels like it's a very certified Chicago Fire moment. And really, the last two games just kind of sums up the Chicago Fire in the past decade of a team that not only has been bad, but I just think they're just cursed to exist in right now. Like, how in the world do you have probably the one of the greatest comeback in the middle of the week at home, and then just completely lay an egg against the worst team in the league? Only the Chicago Fire can basically do that. Now, in the first half, Holly Selassie was in on goal there and had an empty net to shoot here, but he missed wide there. He's fortunate the flag went up there, because that was not a great moment there from Holly Selassie, especially with how good he's been lately, and he's been in form. That is one that you would expect him to bury it, but again, the flag kind of bailed him out because he wouldn't have counted even if it went in. Yarbrough then denied Kuipers from long range as I thought the Fire was on the front foot. They were pushing for the opening goal. Again, up to this point, it's kind of according to script. Look like the Fire is probably going to get an easy win against a team that's pretty much gifting 3 points to every single team every week. Lopez then puts it wide from long range before Brady denying Yule from long range. The shots were two apiece early for both of these teams. Espinoza was in on goal. He was trying to dink it over Brady, but couldn't quite do so. And then Yarbrough came off his lines here and completely missed the ball and was very fortunate that Rodriguez was in the right place to clear that one away. I swear to God, how long before we start to see Yarbrough will be benched for good? Because I talk about how he's been a liability. I mean, to be fair, this entire defense has been a liability for the Quakes, but Yarbrough, I mean, the stats don't lie. He is by far the worst goalkeeper in every single metrics, and it's getting to a point where I know he did get benched a couple of weeks ago, and I know it didn't quite work out because when they decided to bring in the backup goalkeeper in Jacob Jackson, that didn't quite work out so well for them either. But with the way that the transfer window is about to start, you got to say that the Quakes need to maybe think about signing a goalkeeper or just any goalkeeper in the league. I don't care if it's a backup goalkeeper. It has to be better than what William Yarbrough has done because it's quite shocking to see his performance has been this season, and yet he's still been between the stake every single week. We then go for a period where not much really happened. Ibovasi then puts it wide from the header before the post would deny Rodriguez and the Quakes the opening goal. So the Quakes definitely created some good chances late in the first half. But we do head to halftime with the score scoreless in this game. It didn't stay scoreless for long though, because in the second half, well, this is kind of the one saving grace that the Quakes can have, and that of course is Hernan Lopez. And I know he's been very frustrated in the last couple of games, and I don't blame that he's frustrated. I feel really bad of him putting into this spot, and almost like it feels like he was so snake oil when he decided to basically come to this Quakes team and think that things were going to turn out to be well, no, it hasn't really quite worked out the case. But he did score here from Espinoza to give the Quakes a 1-0 lead. There was a shout for a penalty for the Quakes not given. Lopez then missed wide from close range before Kuipers puts it wide from close in the 54th minute. Kikanovic then hits it high despite he had a free header there. Yeah, that is one that Benji's got to bury. And you just kind of had a sense that the goal has definitely gained some confidence for the Quakes. They definitely look much better. I mean, that's expected considering this team has really struggled lately. The confidence is at an all-time low with this team. So a goal absolutely changed things, and it seems like it definitely provided a spark to this Quakes team. Though Omsberg did puts it wide from close range before Lopez puts it wide from close in the 70th minute. And then it looked like the Fire equalized when Hugo Kuipers put it into the back net, but the goal, of course, was disallowed for offside. I think it was Tom Barlow, the one that was in an offside position, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, they actually did go to VAR to check to see if that's the case. And when I look at the tape, yeah, it was offside. It was the right call. But I thought the Quakes got away with one there. And this is where I started to fear that, well, yeah, they just got to bunker and hope that they seal a 1-0 thing win. Well, that's exactly what they did. Haile Selassie would then puts it over from long range, and really, again, the Fire just completely took over the game. The Quakes were just basically inviting pressure, and this is where I'm thinking, yeah, it's a matter of time before the Fire will get that equalizer. Then Chicago Fire fans said that you underestimate the problem with the Fire, where yeah, again, it just feels like whenever they're on the road, it is very rare that they can have any good things in any signature moment because after Barlow puts it wide from close range, because of course that's the case, Tom Barlow's not allowed to score a goal. The Fire lose in this game, and like I said, for the first time in almost 2 months, the San Jose Earthquakes get all 3 points. They win 1-0 against the Fire. The shots in this one, 13 shots for the 10 that the Fire has, 4 shots on goal for the 1 that the Fire had, 7 shots off target for the 5 that the Quakes had, 3 shots as blocked for the 2 that the Fire has, and possession-wise, 53% possession compared to the 47% possession the Quakes has in this game. And while this win definitely does not move a needle whatsoever in terms of what I feel about this team, I still don't really pay too much attention to this team because of the unserious nature that is going on with this team, especially with the ownership group. But one thing I will say is that if they do get a win, and really from now on, if they do get a win, I'll cherish it because really there's really nothing to lose for the rest of the season. If they get a win, I want to have that happy feelings of. I don't want to have like a rest of the season where I just absolutely feel depressed every single games with the Quakes losing. So when they eventually get a win, it's almost like almost like winning a trophy or winning an MLS Cup this season. And again, it wasn't pretty whatsoever, but they'll take it. I mean, honestly, at this point, the bar is so low for the Quakes that I'll take any wins, even ugly, or even a game where if they got benefit by the referee, I'll take it and run with it. But for the Chicago Fire, like I said, this feels like it's a very certified fire moment. I mean, if you wonder why this team hasn't made it to the playoffs in the last seven season and have the longest active playoff drought in the last seven season and will only make one playoff appearance in the last decade or so, this is kind of the why the fire uh, does that because again, it just you can't explain it, but it's just that every time when you thought that the fire had a chance to propel and that there's hope that things were going to go well for them after especially after that big comeback they had against the Union. They did this and just completely lay an egg against the worst team in the league. Now, that being said, moving on into the next game and the last game on this board is Colorado and St. Louis. So I think this is kind of one of those games where I say that the scoreline really didn't show the fact that this was an absolute blowout. I mean, I talked about before in terms of the Saturday action, there was a lot of games that turns out to be a blowout. And on paper, at least on the scoreline, it looked like it was the case. But really, I mean, I thought this was a bit of a close game, and really the Rapids kind of run away with it late in this one, which again, it's kind of not a surprise because we have seen before four teams kind of ran out of gas against the Rapids on the road, especially playing at altitude, and not to mention with some of these road team playing their third game in 7 days on on altitude. Now in the first half, Kleins would heads it wide as that was the game first shot, and then the first shot for the Rapids is in the back of the net. It's Kevin Cabral. He scored from Bassett and Navarro to give the Rapids a 1-0 lead. And what is kind of a theme for the Rapids in terms of this win is that they got goals from some of the most unlikeliest and some of the most snake-bitten players lately. Because when Kevin Cabral can get a goal, there's going to be something crazy that's going to happen. That there's going to be guys that you probably haven't heard from a very long time, and a guy that also are just been desperate looking for his first goal after many games of crime finally do so. That's gonna happen, and boy, it did happen late in this game. Navarro then just could not quite poke this one in after just a lightning counterattack for the Rapids. But then in the 12th minute, St. Louis would tie the game up. It's John Kleins. He scored his first career MLS goal from Ree to ties the game up at one apiece. I believe that's Reed's first game for St. Louis and making his debut. So great debut for him. Made with him getting an assist, and also for John Kleins, what a milestone moment getting his first career MLS goal. In the 22nd minute, Stefan would deny Forensen from close before Forensen would head it wide from close range. I've been very impressed with Forensen for St. Louis. I mean, yes, his finishing maybe needs to be a little bit better, but he had a tall order and a big shoes to fill, considering he's basically filling the spot that Cesaro Pompeo has had. And while I do think that St. Louis fan does wish Pompeo is still there because I do think that Pompeo would at least offer more goal scoring threat, or at least in terms of finishing threat, than what we see with Forensen. Forensen is actually playing relatively well as a backup role, and we don't really see that big of a drop off between Forensen coming into it compared to when Pompeo basically is done for the rest of the season. But there was no doubt the momentum was with the visitor as they were looking to try to take the lead. But the post would deny Fernandez in the near post before Berkey had to be subbed off here in the 31st minute. So yeah, not a great moment for St. Louis. And again, this season, if you want to talk about a team that's absolutely snake bitten because of injury, St. Louis is definitely that side. They've been doing with so many injuries this season, and some might say that I guess that's what happened when you decided to get all those lucky goals from last season. I mean, there's got to be payment for those lucky goals. I mean, the MLS gods do need the payment for all those back pass goal, and yeah, it seems like St. Louis is getting hit divine intervention very hard in their second season in MLS. But in the 35th minute, the Rapids would retake the lead. It's Cole Bassett. He scored from Cabral to make it 2 no, or 2-1 in favor of the Rapids. Keep in mind, Mahajevic was not in this game. Mahajevic, of course, was chosen with the Olympic team, so he's going to be out for the next couple of games. And you just kind of wonder the question with the Rapids, without Mahajevic, who was their heart and soul in the number 10 position, can the Rapids continue to look good on the attack? And at least coming out of this game, the answer looks like it is a big yes, because again, 4 goals to score in this one. Klein did look to answer, but he missed wide before Vasilev hits one right to Stefan. Cabral then puts it wide from long range, but we do head to halftime with the Rapids leading 2-1. In the second half, Durkin would pulls it wide from close before Navarro, which struck the post from close range. So the post was definitely not kind to the Rapids up to that point. Already 2 goals that they have already struck. But there was no doubt that I also thought that Colorado was very lethal on the break. St. Louis was having a lot of problem in terms of dealing with it. Lund would then deny Navarro from close before Adeniran would hits it right to Stefan. Lines would puts it wide on the free kick, and you just kind of had a sense that this game felt like it was on a bit of a knife edge because both of these teams was getting some good chances. And we always talk about as we get into the business end of the game, who's going to get that next crucial goal to either be the Rapids maybe run away with this game, or maybe St. Louis getting the equalizer. Well, the answer is the Rapids getting that third and killer goal. And guess who scored this goal? It's Jonathan Lewis. Remember him? He is still with the Rapids. I mean, I'm pretty sure people forgot that he's still with this team, but he scored here from Calvin Harris to make it 3-1 in favor of the Rapids. Bassett would then puts it wide from close range, but then in the 89th minute, it finally happened. And what a relief this has to be for Darren Yappy. I mean, it's been rough for him. A guy that last season was talented as the next big thing for this Rapids team, really didn't quite live up to that potential, and now working his way back to this team and trying to finally score a goal. Well, he finally does so. So he scored here from Lewis to make it 4-1 in favor of the Rapids, and not only it meant so much for him, you can even see what it meant to the players and even the fans for the Rapids. I mean, the players, as soon as Yappy scored that goal, they immediately run to him and put a dog pile on him, which that might not be the best idea to do so, considering when you do a dog pile, you're risking injuries with that celebration, but you can see what I mean to this team. They really want Darren Yappy to score a goal. And why not? Even I was very, very happy to see Darren Yappy score a goal because, again, this is a guy that he's been battling a lot of adversity, just a guy that just kind of never lived up to his potential in the beginning. Finally, that huge wave of his shoulder is all off now that he scored a goal. And not to mention, even the fans, like I said, they even chanted Yappy name a couple of minutes after he scored a goal. That's how big he is to this Rapids team, and it just shows you like we always love a great feel good story, even with guys that are struggling and never live up to the potential. Where when they finally broke through and finally scored that crucial goal to really put the shoulder off, it's definitely a great moment to see. So yeah, that made it 4-1 in this one, and that was the final score of this one. Shots in this one, 16 shots for the 15 that St. Louis had. Both team had 6 shots on goal, 6 shots off target for the 7 that St. Louis had, 3 shots that was blocked for the 1 that St. Louis had, and possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that St. Louis has in this game. I didn't think that St. Louis played relatively bad in this one. Yes, I know those 4 goals that they conceded weren't very good, but on the attacking end, I thought they played pretty well in this one. Problem is that yeah, they weren't able to finish those chances, and not to mention, yeah, you can't play the San Jose Earthquakes every single week. I mean, when you do face against a really good team, with the Rapids, it doesn't matter if you have the new coach boost, or in this case, the new interim head coach boost that St. Louis has had, because yeah, this was a huge fall from well, I wouldn't say fall from grace, but just kind of a huge reminder that yeah, St. Louis is still way off the pace, and part of that again is due to the fact that second year syndrome is definitely hitting them hard, but also just the amount of injuries that they've been dealing with this season. It's just it just feels like this season again, just divine intervention has really hit hard on this team in their second season in MLS. But that being said, I am now going to switch board and look at the last two games to finish off the review, which I think it's match week 24 or 25, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, let's take a look at the last two games of this match week. So moving on in the next one. So it's now number six in terms of the losing streak that Minnesota United has reached. And I would like to say that this game for the Loons, it feels like I was watching the Quakes play, where, Minnesota, they give me some hope in terms of look like they were going to get a draw out of this game to stop the bleeding that they've been going through ever since the international break in June. But instead, yeah, they gave up a late goal and break the hearts of Loons fan, which I think if you're from Minnesota, I mean you're pretty much used to, especially if you root for Minnesota team. I mean this feels like it's another Tuesday for you because we all know that Minnesota sports is probably the most cursed state that that any sports city or even a sports state has suffered in this country. Now, early on, the Galaxy, I thought they had most of the possession. The Loons were elected to sit back and counter. The first shot of the game did see Braun puts it way over from long range. The possession was 73-27 to the Galaxy. And I actually do like the fact that the Loons decided to sit back because you definitely do not want to let the Galaxy hit on the transition. That's kind of what I think teams are trying to do, where they're gonna give the Galaxy all the possession and let them try to break you down. And there's been times where they're able to do so, but they're not as effective when you decided to let them run on the transition because that's been kind of the bread and butter for the Galaxy this year. Though that being said, the shots were only 2-0 20 minutes in, as it's been a bit of a dull affair. Though in the 25th minute, on the first shot of the game for the Galaxy, it's in the back of the net. It's Gabriel Peck. He scored from Yamane and Puig to give the Galaxy a 1-0 lead, and I can't complain about that goal. Maybe the defense from the Loons might be a little bit better, but that was just the Galaxy at their best, and a team that we know this is a very fun team to watch, especially on the attack, where they can show some world class passing ability, and that was an example of it. So yeah, that gave the Galaxy a 1-0 lead. Smear would then deny Painso from close range, and then it looked like Braun put the ball into the back of net to tie the game up at one apiece. But I immediately wrote VAR disallow for offside on the development of play before they even go to VAR because I only need one look and I realized that Lawane was in an offside position. I mean, he definitely looked like he was offside, and when they did go to VAR, and again, it only took me one look, it was indeed offside. So yeah, that goal obviously didn't count it. Peck would then puts it wide from close range. The Galaxy started to continue to create some chances, and I thought there was a lot of emergency defending for the Loons in this one. I thought the Loons definitely defended a bit better in this game compared to the last couple of games, but that's not saying much considering that the defense has just completely fall apart and is the reason why this team is on this losing streak. Taylor would then have to be subbed off with a hamstring injury as Clark replaced him. That was the last thing Minnesota would need it in. And I know DJ Taylor has not had a good season, at least lately, ever since this losing streak, and all the Taylor hater has came out of the woodwork to complain about that, and they'll probably be happy the fact that he's now not going to cause liability to this team with him being injured. But still, I mean, this team is just so thin right now in terms of the roster depth. They cannot afford injuries, and this is just the latest of that setback. But we do head to halftime with the Galaxy leading 1-0. In the second half, Fagundes would puts it high on the free kick. The Galaxy had all the possession up to this point as the Loons were just getting pinned deep and they just couldn't quite counter, couldn't quite set those outlet ball. Aito would then curls it wide from long range before Sunbin would pose it wide from close in the 60th minute. By the way, I actually did not decide to put the commentary in this game because I think when I played the commentary, it looked like it was those two guys that I'm gonna go even extreme as to say that they really reminds me of those Twitter commentators where these are commentators that English clearly is not their first language. They usually speak Spanish and do Spanish commentating. And while there are some that are pretty good, this was bad. And it was so bad to a point where they were mispronouncing names for Minnesota just so bad. I mean, I think throughout this game I've heard people say that they keep pronouncing Sunbin as June. His name is Sunbin. I mean, you can pronounce his first name or last name in this case, but if you're going to do so, just say the full thing, or just say some bin. And then I also I hear people say that they just absolutely butcher Bongi name. They always say Bonga Hule, and then that's it. And I'm like, if you're gonna say that, just go with long one. Or just say Bongi because I know I struggle at time with his name as well. Imagine if Tenny Oliver Shai was in this game because I think to this day I still can't really quite understand Tenny's last name because I've heard some people pronounce it different. I hear it pronounced Olo Shai. I heard Olo Sei or stuff like that. I'm just actually going with the pronunciation that Tyler Terrence usually do because Tyler Terrence seems like he's calling every single game for Minnesota, especially at Allianz Field, alongside with Kendrick Diesing Albin. But yeah, I can't imagine if Tani was in this game. Man, his commentator would have absolutely had not only a nightmare, but just I wonder how bad they would butcher that name. But that being said, in the 70th minute, Smear would deny Peck from long range. But then the 73rd minute, and coming back from injury, Timo Pukki would score. He scored from Dotson to tie the game up at one apiece. Whatever Timo Pukki did to recover from his injury, it definitely seems like it helped him immediately because he definitely looked more confident coming back from injury. And it was actually a great goal too. A long range effort, though. You gotta question the defending there from the Galaxy again. Pretty lazy closing down there, allowing Pukki that much space. And while I know Pukki has not been in good form, yeah, you can't allow Timo Pukki that much space and not asked to get score on. Sunbin would then curls one that was deflected and goes wide, and I thought that goal seems to woke up the Loons. The attack definitely seemed like we're clicking again. They were trying to steal the win. Painso would then curls it wide from close range before McCarthy denied Fragapani from close. That's actually a big save for McCarthy because just 5 minutes later, Gabriel Peck would score again. He scored from Cuevas and Puig to give the Galaxy a 2-1 lead, and that is the final score of this game. And again, just when you're a team that's on a losing streak, you just even though when you're playing well, as I thought Minnesota did in this one, I think doing this losing streak, this was probably the best performance that they play collective both on the attack on the defensive end. It still comes on a losing cost. It's now 6 loss in a row for the Loons. They're now officially outside of the playoff picture, which not a big surprise because when you lose 6 in a row, it doesn't matter where you are in the standings. You're going to be pretty close, if not below the red line as a resort. Shots in this one, Minnesota actually outshot the Galaxy 17 shots for the 16 that the Galaxy had, and they actually outshot them on shots on goal too. 7 shots on goal compared to 4 that the Galaxy had. That's also another thing I want to mention throughout this losing streak, where there's been time where the Loons have outshot their opponent and even outshot them or outpaced them in terms of the XG. This is why I don't really quite want to always mention about the XG and also the stats because the stats can only tell so much, except the actual result. Because at the end of the day, you don't get 3 points or get bonus point if you're able to win the XG or even win the stat shot. You only get points if you put the ball into the back of the net, and that's what Minnesota has really struggled lately. 5 shots off target for the 4 that the Galaxy had, 6 shots that's blocked compared to 4 that Minnesota has, and possession-wise, 58% possession compared to 42% possession that Minnesota has in this game. And they definitely left it late in this one, the Galaxy, but they'll definitely take it a bit of a bounce back win after them losing on the 4th of July against LAFC and Al Trafico at the Rose Bowl. With that being said, moving on into the final game on this board, and I would also like to thank the Portland Timbers for making this game just completely uncompetitive, and pretty much this game was over by the 35th minute mark, so I can focus more on this game. And I would like to say that this game almost kind of looked a little bit carbon copy of the game that we saw between them and the Colorado Rapids in the first game of the season, where the Timbers they were just clicking on all cylinder in the first half, got themselves to a 4-0 lead, and they kind of decided to take the foot off the gas so much that it kind of maybe invite their opponent back into to the game, even when Nashville looked like they were dead and buried in this one. Now, early on, I thought the Timbers were on the front foot. They were looking for the opening goal, though. They didn't really create any chances. In fact, there was no shots for the first 10 minutes. In fact, the first shot actually came for Nashville as Pentemis would deny Surridge from the set piece. Mukhtar would then miss wide from close as the shots were actually 4-0 for Nashville early in this one. Though on the first shot of the game for the Timbers, it's in the back of the net. It's Felipe Mora scoring from Capacito Rodriguez to give the Timbers a 1-0 lead. That also came off of a bad turnover from Nashville. And, I don't usually say this very often, but what in the world happened to this Nashville defense? Like this defense that, this has been kind of the signature of Nashville ever since they came into the league. They're always a team that's known for their strong defensive structure. And mind you, they have Walker Zimmerman and most of their starting defenders in this game, but they were just basically a no-show whatsoever in this game. And it got worse too because in the 21st minute, Rodriguez would score from Mascara and Williamson, and then he scored again just 2 minutes later, this time from Moreno and Arujo to give the Timbers a 3-0 lead. The floodgates was basically blown open up to that point, and we were not done because in the 29th minute, Williamson would score from Moreno to make it 4-0 in favor of the Timbers. And I mean, where is this Nashville defense? Because it is nowhere to be found whatsoever. I have not seen a Nashville defense just completely self-capitulated like what they did in this game. I mean, it was quite insane seeing the Timbers every time when they were going to attack, the ball was into the back net. And again, that reminds you of what we saw in the first game of the season, where when they play against the Rapids, especially in the first half, every time they attack, the ball was in the back of the net. And it got worse for Nashville because in the 35th minute, Anunga would get himself a straight red here, and I didn't even need to wait until the VAR decision to be made when I just saw that, and I mean wrote, yeah, that's a red card. Like that is a red card. Anunga with just kind of a two-legged tackle there on Ayala, just kind of a leg breaker tackle, and that's kind of a thing that can happen when you're down 4-0 and you're just completely get rattled and hit by a freight train as the Timbers just kind of put. So yeah, it goes back from bad to worse for Nashville, and I thought this could get ugly for them because maybe the Timbers were in a mood to try to make it 5-0. And then they had a chance to do so as the penalty was given to them, but they did go to VAR to see whether or not if Iago did not foul Rodriguez there. They say no, so no penalty there for Nashville, which is kind of almost a consolation prize up to this point. Because imagine if that was a penalty. Yeah, that just kind of sums up the night so far from Nashville. So yeah, we head to halftime 4-0 in favor of the Timbers. Again, this game was pretty much over. I still did pay attention to this one because there was only two games to pay attention, and at time this game was a little bit slow, so I kind of had no choice but keep an eye on this one. If there was more games that was going on, there's no doubt that this game would just almost completely get make me have no attention whatsoever because I knew this was all over, and I was wondering how many the Timbers are going to score besides just four. Well, the answer actually is none because Bauer would head to wide from close ranges. I thought we started to see the repeat of the first game where they kind of started to put their foot off the gas, and it's understandable. I mean, when you're 4-0 up and you're up the man, you tend to going to do that, but that also means that Nashville started to get back into this game. Willis would then deny Rodriguez and his hat trick before Moreno would put it wide from long range. Anthony would then puts one that clipped the post before Moreno would puts it wide on the curler. And I would say that this is kind of something we didn't see, at least in that 4-1 flashing that they had against the Rapids in the first game, where they kind of woke up a little bit and were pressing for the fifth goal. Mule would then had a rare opportunity for Nashville, but it was deflected and goes wide. Rodriguez then was wide open in the box, but unfortunately the Providence Park Turf Monster decided that, yeah, you're not going to score a hat trick. I mean, it is pretty much well known that the Portland Timbers, for whatever reason, they just cannot score a hat trick in league play. It's been a known curse from the beginning of time, and it feels like we're definitely seeing that again because definitely the Providence Park Turf playing part of the Timbers hat trick curse, and eventually obviously Rodriguez did get subbed off in this one. By the way, going back to that penalty that wasn't given to the Timbers, if that penalty was given, I was gonna be wondering if Capacito Rodriguez was gonna take that. I'm assuming he probably would be the one to take it, but I also won't be surprised either he missed it or somebody else is gonna take because again, as much as I said this is a curse that just no Timbers player is allowed to score a hat trick in league play. I mean, the old saying, all curse has to come to an end, and I would have been very interested to see whether or not if that was kind of the time where the Timbers finally put aside and say, yeah, let's not keep this curse, or in their words, maybe a tradition alive of just keeping this tradition where no Timbers player are allowed to score a hat trick in MLS play. But yeah, Rodriguez, of course, eventually was subbed off, so that's another game added to the list of just no hat trick that a Timbers player has ever scored in MLS League play. Anthony would then puts it right to Willis, and then in the 82nd minute, Nashville would get one back. It's Sam Surridge scoring from Shaq Moore to make it 4-1 in favor of Nashville. I'm pretty sure Pantemis was not happy about that because he really wanted the hat trick. Willis then denied Mora from point blank effort, and in the end, I mean, this game was pretty much decided after just 35 minutes. It was a 4-1 win that the Timbers had. Shots in this one, 18 shots for the 12 that Nashville has, 8 shots on goal for the 3 that Nashville has, 5 shots off target for the 4 that the Timbers had. Both teams had 4 shots that was blocked. Possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that Nashville has in this game. And with this win, I think the Timbers have now moved up to 5th place in the standing. They are coming, the Portland Timbers. They're started to play some very good soccer, and after a slow start that they had this season, seems like they're heating up in the right moment. But for Nashville, yeah, this is definitely a game for them to forget, and they really hope that BJ Callahan will be coming in soon and taking charge of this team, because as you probably have already heard, BJ Callahan is now named the official head coach of Nashville SC, and he should be coaching this team pretty soon. And that also is going to be the first time we've seen this season where a team that have fired a head coach in the middle of the season have already found a replacement. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of looking at all 5 of these games. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these games. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.